No. Okay. Okay, so we'll get started. If everyone could please rise for the pledge. Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a couple of committees that we will be going through first, starting with our LEAC committees. So our Nassau County Local Economic Assistance Corp. We have our Audit Committee, which will be first, followed by a Finance Committee meeting. Our chair for the Audit Committee is not present with us tonight, so I will be the acting chair for the Audit Committee. I am present, and John Koumatis is present also, so we have a quorum for our Audit Committee. Our first item of business is we're going to have a presentation by Brent Jensen of the EFPR Corp., our CPAs. So Brent, come on up. You'll be regarding our 2024 audit.
Thank you. I'm Brent Jensen. I'm a partner with EFPR Group CPAs and performed the audit for the LEAC. So you should have in front of you 3 documents for this entity. There's a financial statement, a report to the board document, which is a little 3-page attachment, and a schedule of cash and investments as well. I'm going to get through these pretty quick. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in at any point. On the financial statements, we expect to issue clean, unmodified opinions. And we also expect to issue clean, unmodified opinions in relation to the schedule of cash and investments. The audits were performed in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. And the financial statements are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Additionally, we have the report on internal control in relation to government auditing standards in here as well. In that report, should we have found any issue with your internal control system, we would report a significant deficiency, material weakness, or finding should there be something. We found no such items in either the financial statement audit or the audit of cash investments. So within the financial statement, I was going to pick out just a few things on the actual numbers just to mention. And if you have them in front of you, I would go to page 9. So in the current year, you had a change in net position, which is similar to a net income in this type of entity, of $273,000. That is up a little bit from $230,000 in the prior year. That occurred because you had a $20,000 increase in the operating revenue coming from your fees and other income from the deals you perform, along with a decrease of about $12,000 in the operating expenses. Overall, it's really a very consistent year for LEAC in comparison to the prior year. Going back to page 8, you can see where you are in the current picture at 12/31 with this statement of net position. You have cash of a little over $1.5 million, whereas you have liabilities of only about $23,000. So overall, that puts you in a very strong position within this entity. There's really nothing here that would give us any pause. You have a more than $1.5 million unrestricted net position as well. And given the actual expenses of approximately $146,000, you can do multiple years of operation out of your current cash and current net position without any issue in this entity. So overall, it's operating well and really no concern about the financial character of this entity and its ability to operate. Given the relatively limited transactions in this entity, I think that's about as far as I intended to go in that. So the last thing I was going to do, unless there's any questions, is go through the report to the board document.
Okay.
And this is a set of a required disclosures that we have to go through for you. The first is on significant accounting practices. The significant accounting policies are detailed in note 1 of the financial statement. There is nothing that lacks what we call authoritative guidance or consensus. It effectively just means that you have the policies you are required to have for the types of transactions you are performing, and those policies are consistent with generally accepted accounting principles. The performance of any financial statement does require a certain amount of accounting estimates. As an example, if you have receivables, we have to look at the collectability and determine if an allowance would be appropriate. We looked at the estimates that exist within this financial statement and found them to be reasonable and consistent with standards. There were no difficulties in performing the audit. To the contrary, I want to point out that as a public authority, you do have a relatively quick clock of only 90 days to get your financial statements issued. That's much faster than most governmental entities can perform that task. And your team really made that possible. They provided us everything in a very timely manner, and we had the draft to you well in advance of this meeting tonight because of their efforts.
It's good to hear.
There were no disagreements with management, and in terms of closing up this audit, we will be requesting a management representation letter. It was provided to your team earlier today. Once you have given the approval tonight, they can finalize that detail, go through a couple other minor administrative items, and probably get this report issued tomorrow.
Okay.
So that's really where we stand in relation to this audit.
Thank you. John, any questions? No? Good. Thank you, Brent.
Okay.
Next up. Now, so we're going to make a recommendation to the board for the leak that we adopt this as our 2024 audited financial statement. I'll make that motion. All right. Second by John. All in favor? Aye. So we're adopting that report for the presentation to the entire board. Next up, John, we have approval of our December 19th, 2024 Audit Committee meeting minutes. Motion to approve? Yes. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Our minutes are approved also. I'll make a motion to adjourn the Audit Committee. Second. Seconded. In favor? Aye. The Audit Committee is adjourned. Next up is our Local Economic Assistance Corp Finance Committee meeting, which I'm going to turn it over to Reggie. He is the chair of the Finance Committee.
Thank you. We'll call the roll. Reggie Spinello here.
Marissa Brown here.
We reviewed, we listened to the presentation by Brent, and I will make a motion to adopt the audited financials for LEAC. Can I have a second?
Second.
Approved. And then we want to approve the January 30 Finance Committee meetings, which I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Motion approved. Finance Committee has settled all matters. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Motion approved. Finance Committee is done.
Thank you, Reggie. Okay, next up, moving on to the Nassau County Industrial Development Agency. We have our Audit Committee meeting tonight also. Exciting stuff. On the committee again, Ray Pinto is the chair, but he is absent tonight, so I will be the acting chair for the IDA Audit Committee. John Kumatis is present also. We have a quorum. Once again, I'd like to bring up Brent Jensen from the EFPR Group, CPAs, to present the 2024 audit for the IDA now. Thank you, Brent.
All right, thank you. So once again, in front of you, you should have 3 documents in relation to this entity. It is, once again, the financial statements, the report to the board, and the schedule of cash and investments. We performed audits in relation to the financial statements and the statement of cash, schedule of cash and investments again. And we expect to issue unmodified, clean opinions in relation to both the financial statements and schedule of cash and investments. They were audited in accordance with the generally accepted auditing standards and governmental auditing standards, and the financial statement is presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. The report on internal control in relation to government auditing standards contains no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, and no findings. So all of that remains the best you could hope for in terms of an audit. Going forward in the financial statements to page 11, look at the operations of the current year for the IDA. You can see that you had a decrease in operating revenue from about 2.1 million last year to about 1.2 million this year, driven mostly by a decrease in fee income, which is down a little over $600,000 this year. That decrease is the largest driver for that bottom line change in net position, which shows a decrease in net position of about $732,000 in the current year. I do want to express that there is some level of concern to be had over the fact that you have lost about 1.1 million in net position over the last 2 years, and it is 700,000 this year. But I also want to temper that conversation a little bit with a little bit of context as well in this financial statement. First of all, I want to mention that discussions were had in relation to the pipeline coming up so that we could understand whether or not it was necessary to have any type of a financial condition note or anything like that that would be potentially necessary when you have repetitive losses. Based on that discussion, nothing like that was deemed necessary. And there's a few reasons for that if you go to page 10. The first thing on page 10 I want to point out is that while your cash and equivalents did go down about $600,000 this year in comparison to last year, it remains at about 2.8 million, which when you consider that your expenses were about 2.1 million, you still have a pretty strong overall cash position to cover those expenses. And even when you look at your current liabilities and non-current liabilities, the biggest pieces of those are the accounts payable, most of which is offset directly by an account receivable because you have a single large transaction for a recapture that was in both accounts payable and receivable at year end. And then you have your single largest liability is the other post-employment benefits obligations. That represents retiree health care costs, and it's an item that the Government Accounting Standards Board has asked all governments to put on what is effectively a liquidation value number for that item. It's what you would expect to pay all your retirees today to settle the future years of health insurance for which you expect to pay. The reality of that number is that's not how you really operate. That's a number that you're going to pay as part of your annual budget on an ongoing basis. You will have retirees leaving from here that will collect health insurance for years to come. There is a valuation to that, and I'm not going to argue that the actuary does or doesn't have that number right. I'm just going to tell you that you're not going to ever write a check for $1.25 million to cover that. So that's not something that's going to really affect your cash position. That's something that's going to affect future budgets for years to come instead. So even when we're looking at that net position of only 1.1 million, you really have to look at it from a cash position as well to say that that net position is net of a liability for 1.25 million that you know is a budget item over probably the next 30 or 40 years, not a one-time item. So that's also a significant consideration in all of this.
Okay.
Are there any questions then about that financial picture for the IDA?
I don't have any, John. Good.
I'm good.
Thank you, Brent.
Okay. Then the last thing I'm going to do is run through that report to the board for the required disclosures. So again, the significant accounting policies are detailed in note 1. Again, you have no transactions that lack authoritative guidance or consensus, which still means that you have policies for the transactions that you need to have policies for, and they are consistent with generally accepted accounting principles. For the accounting estimates, we found them to be reasonable, clear, and consistent with standard. We had no difficulties in performing the audit. I would once again stress the work that your team did to get ready for us and make this a very efficient timeline, and no disagreements with management. And we will again be issuing providing a management representation letter as a final step to get this audit closed out. That they will make representations to us.
Good.
So if there's no other questions, I would just say thank you for the opportunity. And
Good.
Good luck.
Thank you, Brent. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
So I'm going to make a motion that we adopt the 2024 audited financial statements and make a recommendation to the IDA board. Seconded by John. All in favor, aye. That motion is approved. Next up, approval of the December 19th, 2024 audit committee meeting minutes. I make a motion that we approve the minutes. Second by John. All in favor, aye. Thank you, John. Make a motion that we adjourn the audit committee. Second by John. All in favor, aye. The audit committee of the IDA is adjourned. Next up, the IDA Finance Committee agenda, which Reggie Spinello is the chair of that. Reggie?
We'll do the roll call again. Reginald Spinello.
Marissa Brown here.
I make a motion to adopt the 2024 NCIDA audited financial statement.
Second.
Second, motion approved. And approval of the December 19 to 2024 Finance Committee meeting. I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. That's approved. And then I'll make a motion to adjourn. Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Finance Committee agenda, the IDA is complete, the Finance Committee agenda.
Thank you, Reggie. Okay, next up, we have the Nassau County Local Economic Assistance Corp. Governance Committee agenda, for which I am the chair. So I will call Ray Pinto is absent tonight. Marco Troiano present. So we have, briefly, we have a recommendation. I'm going to make a motion that we adopt our policies and procedures for 2025. Second by Marco. All in favor? Aye. Policies and procedures are adopted. And then we have the approval. I'll make a motion that we approve the February 27th, 2025 Governance Committee meeting minutes. Second by Marco. All in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved. I recommend that I'll make the motion to adjourn our Governance Committee meeting. Second by Marco. All in favor? Aye. Our Governance Committee for NCLEAC is adjourned. Thank you. Next up, we have our local economic assistance. Well, hold on. Paul, should I do the Governance Committee for IDA next? I should. Yeah, good. Okay. Next up, we'll do the Nassau County IDA Governance Committee agenda, for which I am also the chair of that. So I will call the meeting to order. Ray Pinto is absent. Marco Troiano, present. Thank you, Marco. Again, I'd like to make a motion that we approve or recommend approval for the policies and procedures for the IDA for 2025. Second by Marco. All in favor? Aye. Next up, we have the approval of the February 27th, 2025 Governance Committee meeting minutes. I'll make a motion to approve those minutes. Second by Marco. All in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved. Make a motion to adjourn the Governance Committee. Second by Marco. The Governance Committee of the IDA is adjourned. Okay, now next up, the Nassau County Local Economic Assistance Corp. agenda for our board. I will call the board to order. So Bill Rockensee's chairman, president. John Kamatis. Reggie Spinell, Marco Troiano, Marissa Brown.
Here.
Thank you, everyone. I do not have a report for the chairs. Shelley, any report for the leak? Thank you. We do not have any other existing business. Oh, public comments. Sorry. Anybody from the public wanted to be heard on any items regarding Nassau County Economic Assistance Corp? Don't see anybody from the public. Next up, we do not have any other approval resolutions. We don't have any preliminary resolutions. We do have two items up for discussion, our presentation of our 2024 Paris report, which I believe, Shelley, you have a couple words. Thank you.
For the local economic assistance corporation, please find confidential board evaluation forms, which are in your folder. Please complete them. The Leak Paris report, thank you. The Leak Paris report has been emailed to the board and will be ready to submit to the New York State Controller Office by April 1st. So, please review that. Secondly, we have also in your folder, item number 2, that you have a board performance evaluation form, which lists several categories. We appreciate all the board members reviewing those forms and filling them out appropriately. And ASAP, please return them to Colleen Pereira. And thank you very much in advance.
Thank you, Shelley. I want to give a shout out and thank you to staff, to Colleen and Ann and Shelley, for everybody that worked on the Paris report for 2024. I know it's a lot of documents, a lot of information has to get put into that, so we appreciate everybody getting that done. Thank you. Next up, we do not have any other current resolutions, new business. We have minutes. We have the approval of the minutes from the February 27th, 2025 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Motion by John, second by Marco. I'm assuming there are any changes to the minutes? All in favor to approve the minutes? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next up, we do have so we do have the resolutions now to adopt. So I will make a motion to adopt the 2024 audited financial statements that our committee just reviewed and made a recommendation to us to approve. So I will make that motion to adopt it. Second by Marissa. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The 2024 audited financial statements are adopted. Thank you, Brent. Next up, we have resolutions for our governance resolution policies and procedures. I will make a motion to the board to adopt those policies and procedures. Do we have a second? Second by Marco. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The policies and procedures are adopted. Next up, I don't believe we have any further bills or communications. Our treasurer's report. Ann?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, good evening. My report is on February 28th, 2025. We didn't have much going on in LEAC in February. Little interest, expenses are in line, and our cash balance is on the bottom. We have one project slated to close in 2025. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Ann.
Thanks so much.
That's it for our agenda tonight for LEAC. Do I have a motion to adjourn? By Marissa, second by Marco. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Our LEAC committee is adjourned for the night. Thank you all very much. Okay, next up, Nassau County IDA. We have I'll call our board to order. Bill Rockensey is chairman. John Kumatis. Here. Reggie Spinello. Here. Marco Troiano. Marissa Brown.
Here.
Thank you all for coming out. We have a quorum. I do not have a report for tonight. Shelley, anything to add?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Public comment period. Do we have anybody from the public who wishes to be heard on any items regarding the Nassau County IDA? I don't see anybody present, so thank you. Next up, existing, okay, so we have, once again for discussion, we have the presentation of our 2024 Paris report and our board evaluation form. Shelley, would you like to?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hello.
This is for the, the IDA. Again, there's confidential board evaluation forms are in your folder. Please complete them and return them to Colleen. The IDA procurement report, certified financial audit statements and procurement report for Paris has been emailed to the board and will be ready to submit to New York State Controller's Office, hopefully by April 1st. However, due to the fact that we're still awaiting a few job confirmation forms from several projects, we might not be able to submit that annual report at that time. Once we receive all the forms, we will email you a copy of the report, and then we will be able to submit it. So we do have some stragglers.
Thank you, Shelley. Anybody have any questions regarding the report? Thank you. And once again, thank you to staff, to Colleen, and everybody, Ann, for putting everything together.
We have the performance evaluation forms as well.
Yeah, those are the forms.
Yep. Also for IDA, the board has received in their packet the board performance evaluation forms, number of items to be evaluated. We'd appreciate your evaluation as soon as possible, and again, return that to Colleen Pereira. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, everyone. Okay, next up, we have two consent resolutions. One is for the 120 Jericho Associates LLC, and the second one will be for Delta Sheet Metal Corp. I will be recusing myself from both of these items, so I'm going to turn the chair over to Reggie Spinello to go through these two consent resolutions. Thank you, Reggie.
The first consent resolution, 120 Jericho Associates. Come on up, please.
Good evening. I'm John Gordon for Chelly Deegan Tarana on behalf of the company. This consent resolution relates to certain amendments to the transaction documents. This is a project that closed 2 years ago. It's the NYIT student housing. The company is refinancing, and the lender is requiring certain changes to the documents. So we've shared those with council. They've been reviewed, comments have been made back and forth, and what we're asking for is consent to the change.
I apologize, Mr.
Go ahead.
Acting Chair.
No. Is this the hotel that was converted?
Yes,
Okay. Where is it?
it's on Jericho. It's 120 Jericho Turnpike
No,
in Jericho.
what's his name? Michael, right? Is this Michael?
Yes, it's Michael
Okay.
Pinto. He's not here today.
Okay.
Mr. Acting Chair, the changes that are requested by the lender in this case are consistent with the comments that we have previously received for CMBS type lending transaction for Nassau.
Does anyone have any questions? I'll take them. Well, can I get a motion to approve? Motion by Marco, second by Marissa. All in favor? Opposed? Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item up for a consent resolution is Delta Sheet Metal Corp. Mr. Deegan?
Now it's on.
Okay, yeah.
So for the record, Daniel Deegan, for Chelly Deegan Tarana, for the making their consent request here. This has to do with an existing IDA project where Delta Sheet Metal and PJ Mechanical are the tenants of the building. The building itself is owned by an entity that's controlled by the Los Stritos, who are well known to this board, and then the other half of the real estate is owned by the Pappas family related entities. And the transaction that we're asking for the IDA to consent to is for the Lastritos to become the 100% owner of the property. Delta Sheet Metal, the Pappas, Peter Pappas will still be involved in the company, which is the tenant, but this only relates to the real estate itself. And we're asking for the consent so that we can consolidate the ownership of the real estate into the Lastrito entity.
Does anyone have any questions? Can I have a motion to approve? I'll make that motion. Can I have a second? Second, John. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie. Okay, next up, we have some new business in front of us. We have a preliminary resolution for the FFII Long Island Owner LLC, which I also believe is more commonly known as the Harborside. Dan, Mr. Deegan, welcome. Still on.
That's on now?
Now you're on.
Okay. Thank you. For the record, Daniel Deegan, Porcelli Deegan Trana for the applicant. The applicant is FF1 Long Island Owner LLC, which is an affiliate of Focus Healthcare Partners. I have with me tonight Josh Schwartz, who's the vice president, and he leads the acquisition team for Focus Healthcare. The Amsterdam or Harborside, it goes by two different names. Originally, it was the Amsterdam. Harborside is well known to this IDA board. It's a existing IDA project that's gone through multiple bankruptcies. It's what we would look to as it was probably a failure of an entrance fee model, financial model. What it's resulted in now is that there's 329 units at the facility. Only 58 are occupied, which is an 82% vacancy rate. That's where it stands right now. The most recent bankruptcy, if this board recalls, there was a bid by LCS, another operator. That failed because they were unable to achieve the licensing required by New York State Department of Health. The Focus Healthcare was the winning bidder after that deal did not go forward, and for a purchase price of $80 million to acquire the Harborside. The courts approved that sale now. The plan is to abandon the entrance fee model for the CCRC, and it would no longer be a CCRC. It would be converted to a senior independent living facility. While they do have the ability and the intention potentially to apply for licenses in the future for some other type of licensed healthcare, short of skilled nursing like memory care and assisted living, that is not part of this plan at this time. And one of the reasons for that is just the time that would be entailed in going through that licensing. This facility cannot wait. It's in a dire situation right now where under the bankruptcy, it's basically out of money and needs to have a new operator or, there'll be dire consequences. Just to tell you a little bit about Focus Healthcare Partners, it's a real estate investment and asset management firm that was founded in 2010 by Paul Froning and Kurt Schroller. It's headquartered in Chicago, Illinois. They focus on senior housing and healthcare real estate assets on behalf of institutional and private investors. They have an excellent reputation in owning and operating senior living communities across the United States with an experienced and excellent team that's known in the industry. They have 31 assets nationwide and over $1.5 billion worth of assets under management since their inception. More recently, they've had a track record of successful conversions of entrance fee projects, CCRC type projects to rental business models in Fairfax, Virginia, Elmhurst, Illinois, and Bartlett, Illinois. So they know what they're doing in terms of coming into this type of facility and trying to turn it around. As this board knows, the Harborside was originally built with IDA bonds in 2010. It was operated by a not-for-profit, the Amsterdam, went through a bankruptcy in 2014, bankruptcy in 2021. As part of those bankruptcies, the bonds that were in place were restructured both times. And finally, in 2023, there was a third bankruptcy. This facility is distressed operationally. it still owes significant entrance fee refunds to the residents that bought in to go there. The bondholder debt is not being serviced and is in default. The reputation of the place has been damaged tremendously. You know, if you Google Amsterdam or Harborside, you're going to see bankruptcy and failure, and people complaining about what happened there. The building's in need of renovations, major renovations. It's a very tired facility. Because of this history, there's not been money to put CapEx into the building, so it's really fallen into disrepair, and it's tired. All the systems need upgrading. It's a tremendous, effort that's going to need to be made. As I said before, there's over 82% of the units are now vacant, which means there's very little cash flow there, and they're running out of time to try and save this. The bankruptcy judge has approved Focus Healthcare as the winning bidder with an $80 million purchase price, plus some contribution towards the residents recouping some of their entrance fee, and also contributing some administrative expenses that the court asked them to contribute. Focus Healthcare will not be seeking licenses from New York Department of Health, as I indicated, so that a closing can happen quickly and we can stabilize the facility. Because this has been an issue of great concern to this board and to Long Islanders, I would say, just to give you an update on where it stands, the bankruptcy settlement that calls for the sale does provide for the residents that are there and some former residents that can paid in an entrance fee to get a partial refund of their money, probably about $42 million. Part of that money is going to come from the Amsterdam, which is the not-for-profit operator now, selling a facility that they own in Manhattan and contributing a good portion of the proceeds from that sale to pay back some of these residents. We were not part, meaning Focus Healthcare is not part of that discussion. It's really between the bankruptcy court, the bondholders, and the residents committees that were set up. But at the judge's request under the bankruptcy court process, we are contributing towards that somewhat. The plan is to invest close to $30 million into the building and physical improvements. It's a major renovation. All the existing bonds that are there would all be, as part of this bankruptcy, are all going to be taken out. The money that's being put into this facility is coming out of equity at this point from the fund. We're going to be abandoning the unsustainable entrance fee model. That will not be the model anymore. They're going to operate the facility as a rental senior independent living facility. The plan is to hire Chelsea Senior Living, which is has an operator that has a great reputation with facilities here on Long Island, to operate the site. The plan is to hire as many of the current employees that are on site now to be part of the new operations. Because we don't have the healthcare, the assisted living and the nursing home and memory care, operations going on, some of those employees will not be necessary or required at the site, but we're making every effort to retain as many of the employees as possible. The plan is to have, within 3 years, to have 46 full-time employees remain at the facility. I know it was in the news recently about the food service at the facility, where the food provider stopped providing food for a period of time and had to, or threatened to. It came very close. The residents there now get one meal a day. The plan here is to bring some of the food service operations in-house and provide people 3 meals a day as part of their residency there. And it's a matter of great concern and sensitivity is that those residents, because it's been reported widely in the news, the residents that were there that were in the licensed facilities, as I said, the assisted living, the nursing home, have been relocated at this point to other facilities, not by us, but by the current owner, pursuant to a plan that was approved by the DOH. That's still an ongoing plan. It hasn't been closed out yet, but as a practical matter, those residents are no longer at this facility and have found suitable alternative facilities. We've been informed. That's not us doing that, but that's where it stands right now. So the only residents that are left are the ones that are basically independent living. A big part of this proposal and plan is that the current residents that are there will be permitted to stay there at their current rent. Their services will actually go up. As I said, instead of one meal, they get 3 meals. We're trying to, bring this facility back to close to where, or better than it was before, before all this, these, close to a decade of being underfunded. And, the operating is the first thing that suffers. The second thing is the physical facilities, so we're making a tremendous investment into the physical facility, but also into the operations. The plan and the guarantee to and by the way, all 58 existing residents have been shown and given, leases, proposed leases for them to stay there at their current rent. And the increases in rent would be capped at a maximum of 5% a year going forward. And, the issue is to accomplish all this, given the history and the challenges of this property, is that we need the IDA's help. I don't feel, in looking what we're asking for, that it's that much. Right now, as of the last year, the pilot payment has jumped up to about $1.6 million. What we're looking to do is basically have a stabilization period of 10 to 12 years where we know it, where it's at a manageable level, so that we can start building this place up, make the capital investments, get the occupancy residency levels back up, repair the reputation of this facility, which is shattered right now. It's not going to be easy to get people to move into this place, believe me. One of the things we were talking about in the hallway is whether they may have to rename it just because they can't go under the same name that people are going to Google and see issues with. So we're looking for a 20-year pilot that would stabilize for 10 to 12 years where we are, and then phase in up to what full taxes would be in the out years. We're also asking for sales tax exemption on the construction materials that are going to be required and equipment, and a mortgage recording tax for project financing. While the initial acquisition is not going to involve a mortgage, we do anticipate one potentially in the next, as the build out takes place in the next couple of years. So we're asking for the partial mortgage recording tax exemption that this board is able to give. I think that's pretty much the presentation. I said Josh is here to answer any questions you guys have, as am I. And throw it open to questions.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, I have a couple of questions, and then we'll open it up to the board too. So, just going over to some of the numbers. So, how many units are there? So, and it's 82% occupied. No, it's 82% vacant right now.
There's
right?
329 units,
329 units. Okay.
and 58 of them are current residents that are living there right now.
Okay.
So that works out to 82% of the units are vacant. Which 2 months ago it was 50%. It's
yeah. No, I know it's a tough situation. There's no doubt about it. The renovations. What's the budget for the renovation? Sorry, you said I missed
about
it.
close to $30 million,
$30
$28 million
Okay,
and change.
and that's what you're looking for the sales tax
Yeah,
exemption on
a
that.
number that exempts the sales tax portion of that.
Okay. For those renovations, are we talking to the local trades, organized labor at all?
We're not at
done
that
that?
point
You
yet,
haven't done it?
because it was
It's
a
too early?
bankruptcy situation, but
Okay.
I've told them about the, what the IDA likes to see in terms of communication and getting them involved.
Yeah, if you could at least speak to them, certainly. Okay. The number of jobs. So right now there's 46 full-time
There's
employees.
slightly more than that there now, but there's nurses, there's skilled workers that are, provide licensed care,
Right,
and the licensed care is not going to be there anymore.
right.
So,
So I think what's the realistic? Do we have a number yet on the number of full-time jobs after
yeah,
the dust is settled and everything? Or?
46.
46 is what it's
46
gonna
is
be.
what
Oh,
we're
okay.
committing to have there.
Oh, okay.
And they are making, every effort to, and we think we'll be successful to keep the employees that are there now.
Okay.
As part of that 46.
And everybody that needed to be relocated has been relocated. So, right.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Questions from the board?
Dan, who are the people that moved in? Who paid the entrance fee? Were those assisted living or independent living? Who paid an entrance fee?
I think everybody did, right? Because the idea is that when you're healthy, you buy in, whether it's you sell your house, you buy in,
Right.
and then for a number, you're guaranteed what your rent is going to be, so to speak. And as you go, as you need assisted living, you get that as part of that same rent, maybe a little upcharge, but you're bought into the system, and then all the way through, it's a continuum of care right through to nursing care if you need it. And it's at the time, and there's some other facilities around that it's an actuarial exercise to see, how this can work with this amount of money, and it turned out it didn't work. So there was not enough money to provide all these services and operating everything. So
So-
that's what it's called a failed
I'm-
entrance fee
I mean,
system.
I know it's not your, but do you have idea like of what percentage they would be getting back of their fees or anything?
Estimated between 25 and 33% what they're getting back.
So just focusing on Focus Healthcare Partners. So you've done this before where you've taken over CCRC run operations and converted them and been successful?
We have
Okay.
3 times.
Yeah, well, yeah, 3 times the charm, we hope. Because this is the 3rd time we're going through this. Yeah, no, so, and then big firm, impressive firm from Chicago, you're based out of Chicago, you've done this nationally, this type of thing?
We have. We focus exclusively on rental senior living across the country.
Actually, yes, so that brings up, I guess, the next question. So this is rental now, right? So people, is there like an application they gotta go through to get in? How does that work?
All of the existing residents have been provided a rental lease, very much a standard rental lease form,
Okay,
with their current rate and their existing unit filled in. We are expecting all 58 to sign.
to sign back up. Okay, so and then new tenants can come in, new people who just applied, they don't, it's a senior independent living facility, so there's no services offered then, I guess, is there?
There are, but no care services.
No care
so
services,
meals, transportation activities, maintenance.
So, one of the issues which I referenced before is just the time that it would take to go through, because they do have licensed facilities as well. But in order to go through that process, which we saw that LCS was unable to accomplish the process
Right.
in a long time, this project can't wait for that to happen. So that
Right.
could be part of the future. They do have facilities that offer that, and it may make sense to do that, but it's not going to save people who have already moved out of the facility at this point. So that could be part of the future business model.
Right, and you mentioned, I know, but I'll just repeat it. So there's no New York State Department of Health approval required for this, right? This is just,
That's right. Their only jurisdiction, I think, at this point is to close out and, certify that the plan that they've approved for the relocation has been completed.
okay,
But that's not really with us, that's with our predecessor.
okay, all right. Questions from anybody else? Any questions from anybody in the audience? I don't think so. Okay, so, Paul, oh no, Andrew, sorry, Andrew.
Yeah, so in front of the board is a preliminary resolution that authorizes the agency staff to conduct due diligence in this matter, including negotiating a pilot with the applicant and notice and conduct a public hearing.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. So do we have a motion to approve this preliminary resolution? Motion by John, second by Marco. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. The one thing I also just wanted to emphasize, which maybe I didn't enough, is the timing of this. So we really, under the bankruptcy court and given the physical, the money that's at the facility is basically being provided by, in effect, bondholders who are taking a big haircut. There is a timing that the court wants us to be able to close by May 1st.
Move on
or
it
April
quickly.
30th.
Shelley will meet with you tonight if you want.
Okay. So, we hope, given, and thank you for the preliminary inducement, we'd like to come back at the next
At the
meeting,
next
hopefully
meeting.
to get final.
Sure. If we're ready, if everything's, if the application's good and everybody's happy, then yes. More than happy to listen again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a preliminary resolution for Compass Mineola LLC. We have, counsel.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Marco Silva, SILVA. Not used to hearing my name so often, Mr. Triano. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Compass Mineola, and with me tonight I have Anthony Lambrano and Sean McLean. I'm with the firm Harris Beach, North Carolina, 333 Earl Livington Boulevard in Uniondale, New York. The property is in the Village of Mineola, Section 9, Block 452, Lot 158. Address for the building that formerly occupied the now vacant land was the odd number addresses between 157, 159, and 161 Jericho Turnpike, just to be clear, because I know sometimes different addresses are used for it. The property is about a quarter acre, so to be precise, it's 11,639 square feet. It spans across the block from Jericho Turnpike to Washington Avenue from end to end. It has 79 feet of frontage on Jericho Turnpike and 39 feet of frontage on Washington Avenue. The property is located in the Mineola B1 Business District, as modified by the recently enacted overlay district known as the Jericho Turnpike Overlay District. In fact, this property is the very first approval from the Village of Mineola Board of Trustees to improve this area, which is, experiences some issues with high taxes, height restrictions, and parking issues that have really made the areas, the neighbors around this area really suffer. The overlay district was enacted in December of 2022, and it was specifically identified back, I guess, in the 90s by the master plan for smart growth and downtown revitalization, although the Jericho Turnpike overlay district wasn't originally enacted with that. The proposed building is 5,850 square feet with a total of 23,403 square feet among 3 stories of residential apartments above ground level parking with 18 residential units, 2 of which are set aside for workforce housing. 12 of those are 1-bedroom units and 6 will be 2-bedroom units. We have on-site parking, unlike a lot of our neighbors, because of the configuration that we have for 27 cars, which fully complies with the Village of Mineola's 1.5 per unit requirement. 11 of those are on the ground floor in an enclosed podium spaces, which includes 2 ADA compliant spaces towards the front on Jericho Turnpike side. And then there are 16 surface spaces accessible from the rear from Washington Street. The project also includes streetscape enhancements around Jericho Turnpike as part of the resolution with Village of Mineola. As we all know, it is well documented that Nassau County continues to experience both a significant shortage of rental housing and strong demand. This project was approved by the Mineola Board of Trustees on May 10th of 23, with the board finding that the proposed project advances the goals contemplated by the village's comprehensive master plan. The decision further provides the applicant may seek IDA assistance with pilot payments up to 20 years. What we are seeking here is 15. As to the relief being sought this evening, the applicant respectfully requests the board's preliminary approval of financial assistance with respect to sales and use tax as applicable, mortgage recording tax, which will be the property was purchased without a mortgage, but there will be mortgage placed for the construction phase, as well as a pilot agreement covering payments over 15 years following a reasonable construction period, after which the property will be taxed at full assessed value. In either event, this would provide substantial increases over the current taxation levels to all jurisdictions. Just for reference, the current taxes are just over $42,000. So due to high local construction costs and the relatively limited scale of this project, the requested inducement and financial assistance are essential to the feasibility of this project, without which the applicant could not undertake this project in Nassau County. The acquisition costs were $1.7 million plus the related transaction costs. Construction costs are projected to be in the range of about $6.2 million, with total costs coming in around $10 million, which is expected. We expect to create 78 full-time construction jobs and 2 part-time jobs after construction is complete. And the project would otherwise serve to promote the purposes of the IDA with respect to the general prosperity and economic welfare of the people of Nassau County. Construction drawings will be bid out generally, including to the trades. I believe discussions have already been had with plumbing and electrician. and operating engineers. So they're ahead of that. Construction would commence as soon as possible, and the timeline, to the extent that it's predictable, is expected to be somewhere in the range of about 14 months. And there will be a concerted effort directed towards sourcing labor and materials in state and, if possible, in county. We appreciate the board's consideration and ready to entertain any questions. And just for reference, I don't know if it was part of the original application. I don't think it was. I handed up just elevation and a floor plan at that ground level that shows you the parking, both the interior and the outdoor.
Great, thank you. Questions? Anybody from the board, questions? No, I'm good for that.
You're looking for a 15-year pilot, right?
Correct.
Okay. The only thing for me is you have 2 affordable housing units.
Yes.
I usually like to see more than that, but it's a small project. It's only 18. So I would ask that you make that 80% or less of AMI.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Good too. So thank you very much. Anybody from the audience have any questions? Very good. Paul?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, before the board this evening is a preliminary inducement resolution, which, if authorized, would allow staff to proceed with various elements of due diligence, including secret environmental, public hearing, appraisal, cost-benefit analysis, background checks, and the like. That's what we're asking for this evening.
Good. Thank you, Paul. So I will make a motion that we approve this preliminary resolution. Second.
I'm going to recuse myself.
Thank you. Did you second it? Reggie second. Spinello second the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? And we have one recusal from Marissa Brown. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming out
Good evening.
tonight, gentlemen. Take care. Okay, next up we have our minutes. Approval of our February 27th, 2025 minutes. Does anybody have any changes to the minutes, questions? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Motion by John, second by Marco. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Next up, we have 2 resolutions. One is our resolution to adopt our 2024 audited financial statements that were presented to our audit committee earlier this evening. I will make a motion to adopt the financial statements. Do we have a second? Second by Marissa. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Our audited financial statements are adopted. Next up, we have a governance resolution for policies and procedures that again was also reviewed by our governance committee earlier this evening with the recommendation to adopt it. So I'll make the motion that we adopt the policies and procedures. Second by Marco. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. We have no further bills or communications. Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, my report is in February 2025 for the IDA. In February, we received 1 application for an older project, North Shore Millbrook, and our expenses are in line and our balance is at the bottom. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Ann. That concludes our agenda for tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Marco, second by Marissa. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all very much for coming out tonight. Thank you, Shelley.